Matt Paulus, Powers Land Brokerage here with Frank Maestri, ranch owner, longtime client friend. Now, Frank allowed me to come out this fall and harvest this awesome bull here just a couple days ago on a ranch he bought this past spring. Worked together with us and got him a pretty darn nice ranch with quite a few nice bulls.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We've been watching this bull for the last couple of weeks, and I was kind of chomping at the bit, waiting for Matt to come up here so we can run it, make a run at it and kill this bull. And Matt showed up and we killed him the first morning.
Yeah, first morning, first hour of the first morning.
Yep. Worked out pretty good.
Yeah, pretty awesome bull. My best bull. Super happy. Great, beautiful 6-point. And yeah, couldn't be happier.
Super symmetrical, nice bull.
Yeah.
Good bull to harvest.
Absolutely. We're going to talk with Frank a little bit about what he looks for in a hunting ranch. Frank's owned quite a few ranches over the years, both hunting, focused, cattle, focused ranches, some, both. But we're going to talk mostly about hunting ranches today and what he looks for in a hunting ranch. Frank bought this ranch this past spring after we looked at quite a few places. And I think it'd be really good to hear from his perspective what makes a great hunting ranch. Frank, tell us a little bit about some of the stuff you've done and ranches you've owned over the years and how you kind of got here to this ranch.
Well, basically my dad had a ranch in California years and years ago when I was in high school, and kind of started there with some good neighbors out there, and I hung out with some big cattlemen down in California for a few years, and I kind of got the itch, and I loved the cattle business. And from California, we ended up going to Nevada for 10 or 12 years. And we got tired of working with the BLM and some other things and went to Texas. And Texas was our first cattle ranch / hunting ranch. And from there, I learned a lot of things in Texas. A lot of things, what to do and what not to do in Texas, and what things we looked for and what things we didn't like in Texas. Learned a lot. From there, we ended up in Sheridan, Wyoming. And we had a ranch east of town for a little over 10 years, and a working cattle ranch, but the hunting was also wonderful. And from there I got pretty fortunate and did some trades after that, and now I've ended up in a good situation with a really good hunting ranch.
What are the main things? What are the main things you're looking for in a hunting ranch? When you get on a property, we weren't on this one very long, and you knew this was the one. This one had everything you wanted. You come out on a showing and you got a couple hours to get around this ranch and really wrap your head all around it. What checks those boxes for you? What are the first things you're looking at in a hunting ranch?
Well, first off, if you're looking for a hunting ranch, first you have to decide on what animal or what's the primary game you're looking for that you want to hunt. It's a whitetail, mule deer, elk, upland game, waterfowl. What's the number one animal? What's the number one species?
And I think for you, you're looking elk, mule deer, right?
For me, it's elk and mule deer, yeah. And so obviously we did the research before we even came out to look at this ranch, and it was in a good area, a good hunting area.
Look at the area, the maps.
Really studied it. It's important things a person has to ask themselves, and they have to be very honest with themselves, is how remote do you want to be? You want to be an hour from town, 2 hours from town? You want to be 15 minutes from the closest town? The hard part is being honest with yourself, because everybody wants to say, oh, I can be out in the middle of nowhere and live out in the middle of nowhere, and that's what I want. I want to be off grid. I want to be as far away from anybody as possible. But then all of a sudden the person is out there for real for a week, and they're going, holy smokes, this isn't the ranch for me. It's way too far away. You get a flat tire, it's 5-mile walk to anything, or you have to ask yourself about remoteness. I love being remote. I love being alone. I'm okay with it. So for me, when I'm looking for a ranch, it's how remote can I be?
Right, and you live in Sheridan.
Yep.
We're a couple hours here from Sheridan, and that's not too bad for you. Some of these guys, we're looking at remoteness or how close they are proximity to an airport.
Right.
A lot of our clients
100%.
live out of state. They fly out here for a week or two to hunt, and they've got to be close to an airport too.
Yeah.
So those are all things to consider.
That's a big thing to consider when you're looking for hunting ranches. How do you want to be on the ranch personally? Do you want to be close to town, far away from town?
And you can have a ranch fairly close to a town, and it may still be a good hunting ranch.
100%.
It's really
100%.
Just because you're further away doesn't mean the hunting is going to be better, but it definitely changes the feel of the ranch, and it, like I said, it's personal preference.
Yeah. I don't like to see lights. Some people don't mind seeing town lights. I don't like to see lights.
And we don't see any lights out here.
Yeah,
this ranch, you feel like you're up in the mountains somewhere. You feel super remote, and that's right up Frank's alley.
Yeah, for me, that's what I like. The other thing, obviously, is once you decide on your species, is your accommodations. Some people want a nice house with indoor plumbing, with hot and cold running water, and washing machines, and it's a straight up house. I don't necessarily need that in a hunting ranch. So right here we have a nice cabin, we have running water and things, but it's not like a luxurious house. So you have to ask yourself those things. Right. A hunting ranch with great facilities, or a hunting ranch with okay accommodations?
Yeah, that's a good point. Some guys we sell ranches to, it's just raw land. And then they might tow out a camper to stay, or leave a camper, or stay in town at a hotel and drive back and forth to the ranch. And some people want a really nice house, but it's a lot more to take care of. And if you're out here for a couple weeks a year, it might be more than you really need.
Yeah, like this place here is very low maintenance. It's just metal exterior buildings, metal roof. When I come out here, it's like I get to go hunt and enjoy the ranch instead of having to work on buildings, and that's a big thing.
So what about this ranch or other ranches you bought, terrain-wise? What are we looking for on the ranch? The landscape, what attracts big elk and what attracts big deer? Are those the same things? Are we looking for something different?
You want diversity in your land. Especially if you want elk and deer. You want good browse, and you want good grazing, you need good cover. One of the biggest things you have to realize when you're looking at a ranch, a lot of times you're looking at a ranch in the middle of summer or middle of winter, the game's not there, it's in the middle of the day, you don't see anything. You're like, oh, there's no game on this place. Well, you know what? Maybe the game isn't there until September 1st through December 1st. That's all you need. That's all you want.
That's a really good point. Because, most of the time when we go out and look at a ranch for the first time, it's middle of the afternoon. It's usually warmer. Not in this case when we were out on this one, but it's usually warmer, middle of the day. The animals aren't typically out. It's not uncommon to go on to take a showing on a fantastic elk hunting ranch or deer hunting ranch and not hardly see any elk or deer. But you've got to know what to look for. And when we came out here, it was a ground blizzard. It was February, I think, and it was blowing 50 miles an hour and snowing sideways. And there were times we could only see a couple hundred yards, but you saw enough to know that this was the kind of place that you're going to harvest some big elk and deer.
I really saw the diversity, and I saw some piles of sheds. That's the other thing you want to look for when you drive through a ranch. Somebody's always picking up sheds. Drive through and look. Is there a pile of sheds somewhere? Look at them. Go look at them. If there's not, are there really elk there? Are there really deer there? It's all these kind of questions. Talk to your neighbors. There's always an outfitter around that knows the area. Don't be afraid to get on the phone. Call the game wardens.
I think that's really important. Yeah, you utilize your resources, whether that be neighbors, local outfitters, game wardens, wildlife biologists. They're all really great resources that can tell you a lot about the ranch in the area. Are there good game in that area you're looking at? Sometimes the marketing photos capture some big elk and big deer, and sometimes they don't.
That's right.
I mean, you don't know what's going to be out there this couple of days you're on the ranch shooting your marketing. So you've got to be able to look at a piece of land and figure out, is it going to work for my goals, for my hunting goals?
The other quick thing is, if you like the place, you have a good gut feeling, put an offer in and get it tied up. You have due diligence time. 30 days, 45 days, you have the time to do the research. That's when you pick up the phone and start calling everybody. But these nice hunting ranches, they disappear. They don't last. They're not on the market very long. If you like it, tie it up and start your due diligence. Yeah,
that's true. There's a lot of guys looking for hunting ranches, especially in Wyoming. The landowner tags are a little bit more favorable than, say, Montana. So the market's pretty strong for hunting ranches. And if something comes up and you like it, don't be afraid to tie it up like Frank says, and then start asking the questions. You don't have to know everything.
Right.
at the time you write your offer.
Exactly.
That is what that due diligence period is for.
That's huge. That's why it's there. The other thing is you want to talk about. You want to look into tag availability. You don't want to buy a primo place in the middle of the biggest, most beautiful park in the world, but you don't get a tag. I mean, that's wonderful if you don't have a tag. So you got to look into all that, and that's all part of due diligence. And the other thing that's pretty important is for me is where does the game go? When you're not hunting, like when it's not hunting season, I don't need to winter 300 head of elk on my place. They don't need to be here. I don't need to look at them all summer long.
You probably don't want to.
I don't want to. If they can go winter somewhere else and show back up here September 1st, that's for me is a home run. It's going to be easier to maintain fences. I don't have to maintain waters. Elk in particular, not so much deer, but elk will raise heck on your waters, especially water troughs, ponds. They really will. If they want to go somewhere else for 9 months out of the year, and the animals come back to your ranch from August 28th to December 1st, home run, grand slam. They leave and you're done. So those are little tiny things that people don't think about.
So what else are you looking for? I mean, we've talked about diversity of the land, timber to range. I mean, what kind of ratio are you looking for? This particular ranch has got a really good mix. I would say it's not quite 50-50 timber to range land, but what do you say? You're 30 or 40% of the ranch is good timber here, probably?
Here it is, and it's working out. But cover really depends on how much pressure animals have. If neighbors are all getting along and the animals aren't pressured heavy, they don't need a lot of cover. Right. They'll go bed down on an open side hill.
That's true. Yeah.
But if they're really getting pressured, then you have to have more cover on your place, so then they're coming to you, right, instead of avoiding it. Right. But like out here, there's not a lot of pressure, so we don't need a lot of cover.
What about water? You've got a variety of water resources here. You've got some stream water, seasonal stream water. We've got a number of reservoirs. We've got a couple wells. Do you feel like having that diversity of water is super important? That
falls in the diversity catalog. You gotta have different water sources, whether it's solar wells, solar well you can plug a generator in. You gotta have water. Creeks, live creeks, springs, seasonal creeks, they're all important, and you have to know what you're getting into.
Right. I think it's really important to also have some wells in addition to some reservoirs and springs. If you've got a cattle in here and if it's a dry year,
that's right,
those reservoirs will dry up. A lot of times you come out here in the springtime on a showing and all those reservoirs are full. But you get into August and September, depending on the year, those reservoirs can be totally dry.
Right.
And those elk are targeting your stock water tanks, and having those 100%. Wells is really, really important.
And do your own due diligence. Trust Matt, trust Charlie Powers to help you. Because honestly, I hate saying this, but people who are selling their ranches will lie. Maybe not lie. They won't be 100% truthful. They'll say, oh yeah, this creek runs year round. Or they'll say this well is never ran dry.
And they may not know. They might be out in the spring when they get their marketing and
right,
first time on it and everything's full. The wells are running great. But
bottom line is the sellers want to sell. They want to sell their land. So they're gonna tell you what you want to hear.
And water's key. Water, I think, is just as important as cover
100%.
And food. Especially in Wyoming.
And elk, you want to have some good grazing. Deer, you want to have a lot more browse. Like this place has a lot of cottonwood trees, which is fantastic because the leaves will turn yellow and the deer start browsing on those. This is a very diversified place, and diversity is key, especially if you want multi-species.
Yeah, right, absolutely. And in this ranch, what's good for the elk in some ways are good for the deer, and what's good for the deer and elk are also good for the antelope.
Exactly.
You've got some antelope out here too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what stands out to me about this ranch is quality of elk.
100% right. Got lucky in that. Yeah. We knew there were elk here, but not the quality of the elk.
Yeah.
So we're pretty happy.
Great elk and great deer habitat and good antelope country. I mean, it really checks all the boxes. Some guys really like a place that's got some live water and some fishing on it. That's tough. Oftentimes where you've got good mule deer hunting and good elk hunting, you don't have that live water, especially in the price point a lot of guys are looking for. I mean, live water really, really brings up the price of the ranch, and it's hard to check all of those boxes. Very few ranches that I think we've sold and I've been on where you can truly check all those boxes to have the best of every world. hunting and fishing. And you really have to decide, what's your primary, what's the focus, what do you really want to have in a hunting ranch or a recreational ranch.
Exactly.
And then pick one or the other. And otherwise, I think you're really trying to compromise if you try to find one ranch that does everything.
Exactly. That's right. I'm not a fisherman. If I want to go fishing, I'll go somewhere and go fish. I like to hunt. I don't, so for me, this ranch checks the boxes, and I really don't want live water with fish in it. That opens up different cans of worms, and I don't need that.
Right. And you don't have any irrigation out here.
Nope.
So a lot of these ranches we sell, there's a big irrigation component to them. Whether they're, big pivots or side wheels or flood irrigating, but out here this is all rangeland. So what about that appeals to you versus an irrigated place?
Irrigated places are fantastic if that's what you want. I don't want that. I don't want the overhead. I don't want the extra work. I want to come up here and enjoy the hunting. I don't have to come up here and go check the pivots or make sure the wells are fine, or the list goes on and on. I want to come up here, shut the gate behind me, and start hunting. Right. That's what I want, and it's hard to find that. It really is. It's hard to find. I don't mean it's hard to find that. It's hard to find what you really want.
Right. So
everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's different. So what do? You guys had a huge cattle herd. You ran over 1,000 head of cattle or more on some different ranches, and you worked those cows. You had them year round. What are you doing out here with your cattle herd, and why does that work? Why does that work for you?
Well, this year it's been grazed pretty hard in the past, this ranch. So this year we only brought 600 head of yearlings in for 1 month, month and a half, early in the year. So we can get the grass grazed early and get a second growth. So I wanted some of the old feed grazed a little bit and the new feed grazed. And we still got a second growth and got the cattle out of here early, like I think it was in July. And the game starts coming in. That's what I wanted to do, and it's working. But everybody's different. Some people want the cattle in there for the income, which is fantastic. And some people don't. I decided not to this year. Maybe it'll change. But since I'm leasing it out, I think it's very, very important to find the right tenant. Because the tenant's either going to really help you or not. Right. And thank goodness I've been in the cattle business enough where it helps me be able to find the right tenant. We know a lot of people and what to look for.
You're not running your own cows on this ranch right now. You have obviously in the past. Right now you've got a tenant, and a lot of our clients, they may not live in Wyoming, may not live anywhere near Wyoming, Montana, and the West. A lot of people, live on the East Coast that want a hunting ranch, want to come out and hunt. Well, they may not have any idea about cows or want to manage their own cow herd or want to own a cow herd. So talk to us a little bit about your cattle tenant. What do you look for in a cattle tenant? How does that situation work, and why is it important for a ranch to have cows, to be grazed? You talked about this ranch was overgrazed previously, so you're trying to really, manage it back this year. But going forward, what's that situation going to look like for you?
We decided to go the yearling route. Okay. This year with a tenant. With a tenant. Yep. And communication's key. Yep. Right, you got to have a tenant that you can communicate with, and he's not afraid to call you, and he'll pick the phone up when you call him. He's your eyes out here when you're not around.
Sure, you have to have a great working relationship with your tenant.
He's going to be your eyes, and he's going to know if waters are down. He's going to know if fences are down. You want a tenant that's just going to jump on it and fix it.
Do they take care of it? Did your tenant kind of keep up with the fences and with the water?
Yes, our tenant fixed the fence, keeps the fences up. We kind of teamed up in the water, which was great. Yeah. And our tenant was very good with talking to neighbors, getting along with all the neighbors, because we decided to go the yearling route because the yearlings utilize the country a little better, and they'll be in and out when I wanted them to. And when you're running yearlings, they're going to get out, no matter what. I don't care if you have 10 wire fence; they're going to find a way to get out.
They're going to get out of the fence. And yearlings are known; they're hard to keep in a fence.
Right, which is fine. So you want a tenant that's going to be communicating with your neighbors. You don't want to start a bad reputation with your tenants and your neighbors and yourself, because that never works. Yeah. So you just want to have a good tenant that's going to communicate and work his butt off. And conscious of the elk, conscious of your goals as a ranch owner. Obviously, you communicated with your tenant right off the bat. You're buying this place for hunting. Right. Exactly. You don't want them in here ripping around on ATVs and trucks every day. It's important for you that the game's comfortable in here. And, I think your tenant does a lot of horseback work. Yes. Which I think is good for a hunting ranch. Exactly. They're in here as often as they need to be, but not too often.
And they respect when you want these cows out of here. I mean, this year you did
100%.
something a little bit different because we wanted to really bring that grass back. But typically in a year, cows would come out. A lot of guys want them out by the 1st of September.
Right.
Maybe September 15th.
Exactly.
Let those elk get back in here and settle down a little bit prior to when they're planning to come out and hunt.
100%.
But a good tenant respects those dates.
Exactly.
And they're going to make sure that, their cows are out and the game has had some time to settle back in before you come out and hunt.
Yep. And every ranch is different. Every rancher is different. And every tenant's different. I am learning this place as far as game goes, and I'm learning this year that the elk really don't come in here heavy until August 15th to the 20th anyway.
Yeah, they're still coming in now.
Yeah. So next year I might have the tenant graze a little longer, and if they're out by August 1st, it's going to work out because it's going to be a 2 or 3 week break, and the elk start moving in, and it's perfect. It's going to work out great. Some ranches the elk are in or the deer are in early, and so you have to figure out how to work around that. So every ranch is different. Every tenant's going to be different. But you have to be able to communicate and let your tenant know what you want to be done and what your goals are.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point that you're still learning this ranch.
100%.
Your tenant's learning this ranch. It takes a few years.
Yes.
And it's okay to change that grazing plan. Just be up front with your tenant and ask them, what works for them too, and what do they think after running on it for a year. That it's okay to change that grazing plan year to year as you kind of figure out what the game does. When are they coming in? How many cattle can this grass or this ranch really sustain? What can the water sustain? And those things change over time.
Grazing is a wonderful tool.
Why is grazing so important for a ranch? Because some guys, we talked to them about that, and they go, well, I want all the grass. I want all the grass on my ranch. I don't want any cows in there. But why is it important to have cattle grazing that grass off annually?
Well, you want fresh feed for once. You don't want matted old feed that's just been there for 2 or 3 years. Game don't like it, and they'll go find something else. It's like eating a good steak versus a bad steak. They're going to go find the good feed, and if it's all matted down from years of non-grazing, then they're going to go somewhere else.
Right.
And the reality of it is grass has 2 fates. Period. It's either grazed or burned. That's the bottom line. We can talk about this or talk about that, but it will either be grazed or it'll either burn. So you might as well graze it because it's a better tool than fire, because fires are hard to control, especially in more arid areas.
So it helps with fire mitigation and a lot of that fresh feed. I mean, I've seen elk walk. An elk walk of 4 or 5 miles is nothing for 100%. An elk. I mean, they'll walk 4 or 5 miles an evening to feed and back to bed. That's nothing. And if there's fresh growth grass, they're going to go to it.
100% right.
And having those cows grazing that off, brings those fresh fruit, especially in the fall. A lot of this fresh green grass is shooting up, and those elk really target that. They're not eating that tall yellow grass.
No.
They prefer to find those fresh green shoots.
Exactly.
Cattle can help a lot with that, like you said.
Yep. I believe in heavy grazing early, try to get that second growth, and then cut back on the cow numbers.
Yeah. So more cows early. Pull them out, and then let the grass come back in.
Pray for rain for second growth, and normally happens, and you get it.
Right. Yeah. Cows are out. Grass comes up and the elk come in.
And everybody's happy.
Yep. And then on the income side of things too, what does having a tenant do for you for help with some of your ranch improvements?
Oh, 100%. So obviously you're not letting tenants graze for free. So you're gonna get a little income. It's sure gonna help pay for taxes, maybe some maintenance on some buildings. It's gonna help with fencing. It's better to have some income than no income.
Yeah, I think when people go in, when they're buying a ranch, they know they're not gonna cash flow great. Right. I mean,
exactly.
But you're if with a tenant, you can count on typically making enough money. Like you said, pay the taxes. If you have power, the power bill.
Exactly.
Maybe make some fence improvements or some water improvements over time. If you want to try to do some food plots or something.
Yeah, 100%.
The ranch isn't costing you anything.
Right.
Is kind of the goal.
Yeah. Once we're in here, once you're in the ranch, you want to stay in the black or as close to the black as you can.
Yeah. Right.
And tenants help.
Right. So another thing to look at, or to consider when you're looking at a ranch, are roads, right? I mean,
oh my gosh, yes.
When you bought this place, roads probably weren't great.
No, they were terrible.
They were rough. But what'd you do to improve those roads, and why are roads so important to a ranch?
Well, you want
especially a hunting ranch,
right? You want to get around without beating your pickup up or your side by side for one. And the other thing I think about is a good road, if something does happen, like some kind of emergency, like a fire or something,
Right.
fire crews can get in. I mean, they couldn't get in before we graded the roads.
You
So
get in, and sometimes those roads act as fire breaks.
100% right. So, we graded the roads recently. A neighbor did it, which was really good.
With a road grader
With a
came
road
in.
grader, yep. And man, it's like night and day now. Now, instead of beating ourselves up in the side-by-side, we can take the pickup down and go look at things, which is great. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I noticed a huge difference in here. Getting in before with a pickup truck was a little tricky.
It was brutal.
And
Yeah.
it was more of a side-by-side road, even
Exactly.
the main roads.
Yep.
And now, I mean, it's not quite a county road, but darn near.
Right, and little things like before the roads were graded, I couldn't haul any gravel in here. I'd break axles and everything else hauling a dump trailer, or I couldn't call even the propane to get delivered. Now, I just pick up the phone up and they just come out and deliver. Before they could not. So there's obviously good roads are an asset.
Right. And how often do you anticipate having to do a regrade? Maybe not as extensive as what you did, but is that something that you want to keep up with annually, biannually, every 3 years? What's kind of your plan for that?
For my plan, of course, we haven't been here but for a few months, but my plan now is probably every 2 years. I mean, obviously, if we get a big monsoon rain and have some big road problems, we'll have to fix those. But hopefully, every couple of years, a guy can just drop a blade and roll and get it done. But it's not going to be as extensive as it was this first time.
Right.
Roads haven't been maintained out here for like 15 years. So you can imagine how bad they were.
Yeah.
Now they're great. So.
And you're not planning to bring in a lot of gravel,
No,
right? I mean, you're just dirt roads, properly maintained,
exactly.
are fine.
For me, they're fine. Yep. And hopefully we can stay off them a little bit in the spring and get some growth on the roads. So that'll help hold the roads together a little bit. But
Yeah. Absolutely. Another thing, when we just started looking at this ranch on the maps, we really kind of targeted, who the neighbors are. Obviously, you want to talk to them, but I think it's important you look at who your neighbors are and how big their ranches are.
Exactly. That's a good point. Yep. That's a huge point. If you're looking for a hunting ranch, you don't want to be surrounded by 15 ranches that are 500 acres.
Yeah, even 1,000 acres.
Or 1,000 acres. You want big landowners. You want old ranchers as your neighbors. Like in this place, we have some neighbors that have been around here for generations, and it's big ranches.
Big blocked up ranches, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 acre ranches.
We're just a little guy out here compared to our neighbors, which is fine. So with that old school mentality, as far as ranchers, neighboring ranches, is everybody respects their BLM. Like we have some BLM on our place that we share with some neighbors.
And tell us about, what do you mean your BLM? What does your BLM mean on a ranch?
My BLM meaning I'm paying for the grazing.
So you're grazing on that BLM.
Yes.
That BLM is fenced into your ranch.
Yes.
And you're grazing it, and you're paying for the grazing lease.
Right.
So you're saying you're not going to go hunt your neighbor's BLM.
I'm not going to jump our fence and go hunt the neighbor's BLM.
Even though you can.
Even though legally I can.
Okay.
But there's a handshake deal out there, and all my neighbors are great with it. In fact, they all called me and asked first.
Kind of the code of the West.
Code of the West.
If you have a ranch out here,
you don't jump over the fence.
You respect your neighbor's BLM.
That's right.
You treat it almost as if it's their deed.
Exactly right. Fences you just don't cross the fence, which is good.
Yeah,
I think it's a good rule.
So everyone stays on, obviously stays on their deeded, but they are also staying on their BLM.
Yep.
So
BLM state, yep.
BLM and state.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's important. You want to make sure you don't want to buy a ranch and share a BLM allotment, and they have a hunting outfit next door.
Yeah.
And pretty soon there's 20 guys on your BLM hunting. So
that's true.
It's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's something that, I don't think a lot of people think about is that and how important that is. To some extent, your ranch is only as good as your neighbors are too.
Exactly right.
If you're not like-minded with your neighbors and you don't have good neighbors, then you're constantly going to be battling that. And I think going back to what we talked about is getting a hold of your neighbors during due diligence and is super important.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I got lucky in this place, and neighbors were reaching out to me, saying, "You're going to stay on your side of the fence, right?" I said, "Yeah, we're going to stay on our side."
Right.
So it's all good stuff. It's been great, and I really like all our neighbors out here.
Good.
Yeah,
that's really good. And one last thing I really want to touch on is, I know buying a ranch is daunting, right? If you're a guy, especially if you're living out of state, don't live in the West, maybe you live back east somewhere, and you love to hunt, and you've always had this idea of owning a ranch in the West, and it's always something you've wanted to do, and you come out here and hunt, but you've always wanted to own a ranch, and it's a big deal. Buying a ranch is a big deal.
It is.
But don't be afraid to do it. I think that's the big thing, is getting over that hurdle, and it seems daunting, but it may not be as bad as you think it is, or as much of a headache as you think it might be.
It is daunting and it's a touch scary, but here's the thing, honestly.
Yeah.
If you have a good realtor, which I've worked with you guys for a long time, and you buy right.
Yep.
If you get in a bind, if something ever happens, something happens at home, emergencies always pop up in life. If you buy right, you can always sell. You can always get out.
Especially ranches like we're talking about, that have diversity, that have the game.
Exactly.
There's always a demand, or there has always been a demand for those type of ranches.
The demand is going up. It's scary to get into it, but if it's something you want to do, is buy a hunting ranch, especially out west. Don't be scared to do it, because if you buy right, you can get out. Get out or trade into a different one.
We'll save that for a different conversation, a different day, as trading ranches. But a lot of times the first ranch you buy may not be the ranch you own forever.
100%.
It kind of gets you in your foot in the door, and
1,000%. Right.
And you can move up or down from there.
Yep. Buying a ranch is scary. You're not walking in a neighborhood and looking at a 3,000 square foot home and see every bedroom and every appliance and everything. You buy a ranch, it takes a long time to learn it.
Yeah, there's going to be questions. Even the day you close, you're going to have a lot of questions.
Exactly. That's why due diligence is so important. But don't be scared. If it's something you want to do it. Just go do it.
Yeah, it's worked out very well for you and other clients that we've worked with for a long time, become great friends. Yeah. I don't know if I have any clients that said they've regretted buying a ranch. You have your days.
Of course.
But overall, you have your days. I think it's it's been a really positive for most people.
Absolutely. I don't think I've met anybody who said they didn't want to have a ranch.
Yeah, who wouldn't want a ranch, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it is scary to do it. But you just have to, if it's a dream, just do it. Get the right realtor, call Charlie and Matt, and you have to trust them. And that's hard to do, is especially if you live out of state. It's hard to trust people, but you have to have some trust. Yeah, you have to have some trust, and trust, get a great broker, but also, like we talked about earlier, talk to those neighbors, find a good tenant, get a really good support system in place, and it's not as daunting as it might seem. It's not. It might be daunting for the first few weeks, and after that, you love it. Yeah, you get out here and you hunt a little bit, and you get to spend some time. Have a glass of wine, pour a bourbon. Everything feels great. Right. Listen to your elk bugle. Exactly. And, exactly watch your deer. And no, it doesn't. By utilizing a tenant, having good neighbors, you can come out and just enjoy it. It's not necessarily going to be a constant work or headache like you think it could be. Nope. Yeah, buy right and buy the right place. And things all fall into place. Yeah, buy the right place and enjoy it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, thanks, Frank. We appreciate it. Again, thank you for letting me come out, harvest that awesome bull, spend a few days out here with you. Love this place. That was a lot of fun. Super happy you got it. Got a great little cabin here, a fantastic ranch. And it's perfect. I can't thank you enough for allowing me to come out here and be a part of this and be a part of, your ranches and ranch and what you've done and your family. It's been great. The best part of the whole hunt is we were able to drive to the bull after we killed it. We were. That's a nice thing. You got a private ranch, a little bit different. I've done a lot of horseback hunts. Me too. Up on the mountain. Yeah. You have too. You've outfitted for a long time, and that was the very first elk I've ever harvested that we could drive a pickup truck to and winch it in the bed. It was pretty awesome. Awesome. I love horses and mountain hunting, but driving right to the elk and winching it in the back of the truck bed was pretty awesome. Didn't we come get a cup of coffee before we went out and got it? Yeah, we got a cup of coffee and grabbed our cameras and it was great. Went out and loaded it right up and you can't beat that. No, don't be scared. Just go buy a ranch. Just go buy a ranch. Well, again, thank you, Frank Maestri. Appreciate you and all your insight here today. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Good deal.